For a long time, real estate worked in a way where people paid big commissions almost automatically. Most consumers didn't really know what they were paying for, and there wasn't an easy way to compare one agent's performance to another. But that world is changing fast. Technology has removed a lot of the mystery. Buyers and sellers now have access to listings, pricing data, reviews, and digital tools that used to belong only to agents. And because of that, consumers are starting to ask a very important question. What actual value am I getting for the money I'm paying? This presentation is about that shift. We are entering a new era where agents are no longer judged by promises, personality, or simply opening doors. They are judged by measurable outcomes, real expertise, and proven results. And the professionals who succeed in this new environment will be the ones who can clearly prove their value. This is Steve Koleno, and this is Confidential Remarks. For decades, the real estate industry operated without a clear measurement system for value. That created a situation where many consumers paid similar fees, even when the quality of service was completely different. Some agents delivered incredible results. Others simply handled paperwork and basic communication. But the compensation often looked almost identical. That's the problem this slide highlights. When there's no transparent standard, it becomes very difficult for consumers to tell the difference between true expertise and basic administrative work. Imagine paying the same amount for a beginner mechanic and a master mechanic without knowing who actually solved the problem better. That's essentially what happened in many real estate transactions. Now consumers are gaining access to better information, and they're beginning to separate real advisors from people who only benefited from an outdated system. Today, consumers can access more real estate information than ever before. They can search listings online, compare prices, read reviews, and even complete parts of the transaction digitally without speaking to an agent. That's a major shift. But information alone does not automatically create accountability. Knowing what a house sold for last month does not tell you whether your advisor negotiated well for you. Seeing market data does not explain whether risks were prevented or opportunities were missed. Data helps people ask smarter questions. But accountability requires something deeper. It requires standards. It requires measurable proof. In other words, transparency opens the door. But performance measurement is what actually tells consumers who delivers real value. This shows the difference between the old system and the new one emerging today. Under the old rules, commissions were often paid regardless of results. Complexity made it difficult for consumers to evaluate quality, and many people simply accepted whatever service they received. But consumers today are far more informed. They expect proof. They expect measurable outcomes. And they expect professionals to justify their fees with real performance. That changes everything. The market is slowly moving away from rewarding simple participation and moving toward rewarding demonstrated expertise. And that's healthy for the industry, because in any professional field, the people who consistently deliver strong outcomes should stand out clearly from those who do not. Not every real estate transaction needs the exact same level of service. Some deals are simple and straightforward. Others are highly complex and involve major financial risk. This slide introduces a smarter way of thinking about support. For lower complexity situations, digital tools may handle most of the process efficiently and at a lower cost. For moderate complexity, hybrid support may make the most sense, where consumers handle some tasks themselves while bringing in experts when needed. And for high-stakes situations, experienced advisors become incredibly valuable because strategy, negotiation, and risk management matter much more. The key point is this: consumers should not automatically pay premium advisory fees for basic administrative work. The level of service should match the complexity and risk of the transaction. One of the biggest changes happening right now is that consumers are becoming less willing to overpay for tasks that technology can already handle efficiently. Things like scheduling, document sharing, listing searches, and basic transaction coordination are increasingly automated. That does not mean advisors are becoming less important. It means the role of the advisor is evolving. The future belongs to professionals who provide strategic thinking, negotiation skill, market intelligence, and risk protection, not just administrative assistance. Consumers are beginning to separate tasks from expertise. And that distinction matters because people are willing to pay for outcomes and guidance, but they are becoming less willing to pay premium fees for processes that software can complete faster and cheaper. A high-value advisor does far more than unlock doors or send listings. They help clients make better decisions under pressure. This slide breaks that value into three major areas. First is strategic negotiation, the ability to create leverage, protect the client's position, and improve outcomes during critical moments. Second is risk intelligence, identifying problems early before they become expensive surprises later. And third is market mastery, understanding neighborhoods, pricing behavior, buyer psychology, and off-market opportunities at a much deeper level than public data alone can provide. When these three skills work together, they create something important: verifiable value. That's the difference between simply participating in a transaction and truly improving the outcome of that transaction. At the end of the day, almost every professional fee can be evaluated through three core outcomes. Did the advisor help achieve a better price? Did they reduce or prevent meaningful risks? And did they create a faster, smoother process? Those are measurable outcomes. A great advisor might negotiate a higher sale price, identify inspection issues before they become financial disasters, or prevent delays that could collapse a deal entirely. That's real value. And when those outcomes are clear and measurable, consumers become far more comfortable paying professional fees because they understand exactly what they received in return. The goal is not to argue emotionally about value. The goal is to demonstrate it clearly. This presents a simple but powerful idea. Compensation should be connected to outcomes, not just activity. In the past, professionals were often rewarded simply for time spent, emails sent, or tasks completed. But consumers increasingly care about measurable impact. Did the advisor improve the financial outcome? Did they reduce risk exposure? Did they save time, reduce stress, or eliminate costly mistakes? That's where the real value equation comes from. The future of professional compensation is moving toward proof, performance, and measurable contribution, not just participation in the process. In accounting, finance, and many other industries, professionals operate under standardized systems that help measure performance consistently. This argues that real estate is moving toward a similar model. Instead of relying only on opinions or marketing claims, consumers are beginning to expect measurable standards that help compare service quality objectively. That creates accountability. When standards exist, conversations become more transparent because performance can be evaluated against shared benchmarks instead of personal opinions. The goal is not to eliminate human judgment. The goal is to create a clearer system for understanding professional value. And as standards improve, trust improves as well. A performance system only works if consumers believe the standards are fair and independent. That's why independence matters. If the people being measured also control the scoring system, consumers may question whether the process is truly objective. This slide explains the difference between the standard itself and the infrastructure that supports it. The standard defines what good performance looks like. The infrastructure helps collect data, organize workflows, and make those measurements usable in real-world transactions. Together, they create a framework where accountability becomes more practical, transparent, and scalable. This brings the entire system together. First, consumers choose the level of support they actually need based on the complexity of the transaction. Second, technology infrastructure helps organize the process and track important performance data. Third, independent standards evaluate outcomes against measurable benchmarks. And finally, compensation becomes connected to verified value instead of assumptions. When all four parts work together, the market becomes far more efficient and transparent. Consumers gain more confidence. High-performing advisors stand out more clearly, and low-value performance becomes harder to hide behind outdated systems. That is the accountability engine this presentation is describing. We are entering a new phase in real estate. Consumers now have more information, more tools, and more leverage than ever before. That means the future will belong to professionals who can clearly demonstrate value, adapt to higher standards, and embrace transparency instead of resisting it. For consumers, this creates more choice and more protection. For advisors, it creates an opportunity to stand out through measurable expertise and proven outcomes. And for the industry, it creates pressure to evolve toward a more accountable and performance-driven future, because ultimately, choice without measurement is just noise. The era of proof has begun. This has been Confidential Remarks.